So, Julia, since you're our special guest, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So, so tell us, if you don't mind, sharing a little about your story, what brought you into technology and community leadership.
Well, I'm Julea Ferrara. I am a Midwest Latina community leader. So I am actually from the Detroit area. I was not necessarily born here, but I was raised here. And my family has been very involved in technology. My grandma was the first to sell electronics for Hudson as a woman.
Wow, nice.
And she's the one who really got me into technology. And my family's been very involved in manufacturing, small business, serving commercial and residential businesses. I learned how to be a global system designer for a lot of all the big three, all the tier one. I then got recruited to help make a beer company, a beverage company.
Cool.
As you can see, Yingling is now sold in Michigan. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Oh yeah.
I know. A couple of people I know happy.
Yes, yeah, and now and consulting on my own and doing a lot of nonprofit education because I try to fill the knowledge management gap as so much is evolving. How do we get people adapted to technology a lot quicker, especially with AI coming?
Definitely.
That's something that we talked about a lot. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
happy to have you.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So, I got a couple more questions for you. I know you were involved in Techqueria, Milwaukee, and obviously trying to bring Detroit here. That's how we met. So, I guess tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, one of the things in working in my career, I find that I'm one of the only Latinos, let alone a Latina in the room. So I wanted to give back and find a national nonprofit that service Latinx technology leaders. And so I know one thing that I've learned in the last 30 years of community organizing is you need a national pipeline to tap into.
Mhm.
One, to get the global talent. The other aspect is to highlight your local regional talent. So we found Techqueria in Milwaukee and created a chapter almost 3 years ago. And such a momentum and having so many connections right here in Detroit and servicing my clients, I'm like, oh, let's create a chapter of Techqueria in Detroit. So we just launched, July 31st.
Cool.
We're part of the designing of Midwest Tech Week. We're hoping to next year to have Midwest Showcase Tour. It coincides with Detroit Homecoming, so we're hoping to get all these people who love Detroit really invested back into it and kind of be the ones that show how we're going to move forward with technology.
Julia, I'm glad you said Detroit Homecoming because, for probably the majority of our listeners and honestly everyone here, except yourself, we didn't know what Detroit Homecoming was.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of it either. I was
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so I learned actually when I do SAP training, I'm on the ASUG Wisconsin board. So it means America's SAP user group. I was in Orlando at a Sapphire conference. It's where everybody comes together from the SAP realm. I met another Detroiter who was down with a client. He actually is a co-architect of Detroit Homecoming.
Mm.
His name is Eric Cito, and he worked with Cranes when they developed it. So their very first homecoming, they bring expats and boomerangs. So expat is anybody who's from Detroit, either went to school, worked, lived, and then you have boomerangs, those who lived here, moved away, and came back.
Yeah.
They meet with them, so the Gilbert Foundation, the Rocket family, amazing people. I mean, owners of the Raiders. There's all these amazing people who come together each year.
Cool.
And a lot of them are venture capitalists. They had their very first homecoming at the Michigan train station when it was very dilapidated.
Yeah.
And they actually convinced Bill Ford to buy the building and renovate it, and that's why it is the way it is.
Wow.
Chrysler building as well. So Detroit Homecoming, I'm just coming off of that this week. Baltimore's doing a homecoming too. They had it at the Chrysler. We traveled all around the city, saw new places that they're investing in technology. Like a lot of things get decided this week. It's crazy.
It's gonna be pretty exciting to be involved with that.
Yeah, because now on the technology side, everybody's like, you're kind of the boots on the ground, and they're like, well, who do we invest in? What nonprofits do we get to? These people fund United Way. They
Yeah.
fund the Kellogg Foundation, the Gilbert Foundation. So to know that you're a part of, hey, put this money here, help these people.
Yeah.
They actually listen, and you party with them too. It's fun. Like, yeah.
Nothing better than a cocktail.
Well,
Right?
I'm curious. So you mentioned that there's a Baltimore one coming. I guess how many cities have something?
Well, I know Tulsa people were here last year, so this was my second year of attending. Again, I didn't know about it. I can see. I'm trying to educate more people around it. If you know anybody, they say get them to come to homecoming.
And hopefully this platform will help.
Yeah,
Spread the word.
exactly. Yeah, especially on the technology side, because you have a lot of fashion, arts people, real estate, but everybody needs technology. They're like, you're right. You literally can talk to any of my clients because any of their clients they all have to run with technology.
And Detroit's such a good manufacturing hub, industrial hub.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of AI companies coming out of here now.
Yeah.
So this past week, I attended a couple of events in the Grand Rapids area. So they had the Tech Week.
Yeah.
So I attended a couple of events, and they were in colleges, and it was a good place to connect. And I was surprised how manufacturers and so on they want to invest in. They just don't know where to start or how to
Who
filter
to connect
through.
with.
Who
Yeah.
to filter through.
Yeah.
So basically, you Google today, all the AIs and everything, there's 50,000 companies out there. And
Yeah, there's a lot of companies.
yeah, so how to filter through all that and just clear that noise and connect to the right people. So it was a good place to connect. It was a good, I guess, a good effort in basically all over Michigan to be one of the try to be the lead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a great point because Michigan does have so much of a manufacturing background and history in tech, in automation that it makes sense for this place to be hosting this kind of events.
Well, there's this big gap though I see from the startup founding world versus those who are already in the corporations doing this because they're actually practicing as their days, so they're not out at these. It's a big thing on what summits or conferences to go to. I was talking to a lot of people from the sales side because being at the ASUG meeting, we have a lot of partners coming there to try to sell to CIOs, CTOs, and stuff. And they're like, well, we go to these data summits. And I'm like, that's not necessarily a bad place, but those people are not the big decision makers.
Right.
You have a conversation right with the CIO and CTO. The CTO, they don't know everything that all these different programs that should be supporting that. I'm like, you really need to go to these conferences where you have the supply chain teams at, you have business transformation teams at, you have other teams at that can help motivate the CIO and CTO to work with your tooling or whatever you're, for the automation pieces. That's the big disconnect I see. So the more of these conferences you see, one of them being Midwest House is huge on the what we call on the west side of the state. They partner up. So Ted Valet is a founder of Midwest House. He partners up with Pete Martin, who is the other co-founder of Michigan Tech Week. They're actually moving it to the spring because so much is happening in the fall.
Oh yeah.
And I'm trying to say, hey guys, move it back to October because Wisconsin got October Tech Month declared the whole month, and we now plan for over 100 months, over 100 events for the whole month.
Wow.
They're actually more probably leading on the technology side but not on the manufacturing side. It's there, but this is the big gap: is what conferences do we go to? Because you need to get in with these decision makers to really get your product moving. The nice thing when Raul and I connected with Techqueria right away, and these nonprofit groups connect you as well, is you got a Stellantis contact. He had been needing a contact with Stellantis, and he had a guy. He's like, well, I work on the floor. I manage the materials. I'm going to call you.
Yeah.
That's the guy who's going to get the tooling right there. And then now he missed 5 different meetings. He now doesn't have to track on 5 different
Right,
meetings to
right.
get this decision.
And I know you mentioned investment at startup and legacy manufacturers here. So I think there's especially in Michigan on this side of it, because we're so legacy oriented atmosphere ecosystem. So how we measure the startups for investment compared to the legacy ones, there's a bridge that needs to be built, because the metrics to measure startup compared to legacy, ROIs and so on is different.
Yes.
So there's a vast difference there, and I think the more and more we do all these events where investors understand how the startups are measured, how to invest into this, and I think that's probably the benefit too.
Well, Julia, just out of curiosity, you mentioned about CEOs connecting with other people. And to be honest with you, like Techqueria, homecoming, Detroit homecoming. I was looking at this like, man, there's so many people here. For me, I'm a big sports guy. I remember the Fab Five, and I noticed Jalen Rose is out here. But when you were there, obviously this week, who was the person that stood out to you the most? You got to meet.
Well, I mean, these last 2 years, like I got to know Dan Gilbert more. That was really nice. He's going through different aspects of just and living life overall, and it was awesome to see his tenacity for willing to be there and show up for people, and I appreciate that. Go back down. So go back out to the S's, Mr. Song. I got to meet him and his team on the creative side, and he also went to Baltimore to see how they reiterate. And the big thing is reiteration. People don't understand that they think they have to reinvent themselves. And it's like, no, you have to just reiterate, take a pause, pay attention to what your knowledge management issues are, and the technology, the tooling. People look at the tooling only and think the tooling is going to fix everything. And it's like, no, this has to adapt to people. And people don't understand what knowledge management is. I've gone to this conference and people are like, what is knowledge management? I'm like, honestly, it's getting the right information, understanding people, their culture, and getting the right information to them at the right time. And they're like, that's what knowledge management is. I'm like, yeah, there's actual methodologies. I had to go to Washington, D.C. and work with my mentor who created Lotus Notes and consult with the government on things. And he was the one who taught me about knowledge management. And then I went into coding and got computer science. You have to understand how people operate, their processes, and then design it to the system. Too many of these companies, we call them the big four, EY, Accenture, these big consulting companies, they hire people from out of that aren't even from here. So you have these people designing blueprints of stuff that you have no idea how your operations work. You need people who are boots on the ground, who know how the building gets built, how the materials come in, and how your finished good leaves. So yeah, I would go back to David Song. There's so many amazing different individuals. Actually, I talked to Jonathan last night. The nice thing is you're not just in these conference rooms with these people. You're literally going to Cafe de Mangos together and having conversation. This is where I always say the real work happens, because you're not behind. You're not at a meeting. You're not being recorded. You're really getting the true knit and grit of what they're going through to share with you. Which Richard, he's owner of the creative class group. I mean, there's so many great conversations you have with these people. So, and they say that you're willing to show up and reinvest back in Detroit. They want to hear from you. So everybody acts like, oh, these are these big people. I'm like, they have issues just like we do.
Right.
They're people. They want to help. We're a big community of the helpers helping the helpers help. Because we know we can't do it all.
Right. Thanks. Oh, so now I've got one automation question for you.
Okay. here we go.
So breakfast automation question. So if you could automate one part of your morning routine, what would it be?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I do need the whole process of just being able to get out of bed because then you got to take your medication and do like if I could get into that regular routine because I have a friend who literally has where her coffee machine gets plugged in, like all that. And I'm like, I need to do
Makes
that.
the coffee for you.
Yes, everything's like right
ready
there,
at 6 a.m.
Yeah, and I'm like, I know that one day soon I'm gonna basically have a robot that goes through and gets all my stuff, and boom, there I am.
Yeah.
All I got to do is step in the shower and step out, and everything will be right there for me.
Well, for me, I would very love something to shake my head for me.
Yeah,
And somebody would pull me out of bed.
Yeah.
Mine
Yeah.
was similar. So mine was like where the robot basically makes my bed and
yes, that too, yes.
the robot makes my bed and I'm like as I get up and I was like, all right, shower set to right 10. And
Right in.
you walk right in, your clothes are ready, this is what you're wearing today and this is the meeting you had.
You're like mom used to do when you were a kid.
Right?
So better just what's that movie where Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
So I want Jarvis.
Okay.
We all do.
I need that workout one too. So I think on the Jetsons I saw that where they pull your arms and look at you to move your arms in the morning. You have I was like, maybe get that.
So these mundane like things that every day we do, I just want that to be automated. Hair
Fold
repeating
my
things.
laundry,
Fold your
make
laundry.
my dinner.
That's quite nice.
Nice.